Okay, there's a question. What's the responsibility of those in board of masjid regarding mixed gatherings in their masjid? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect everyone from the evil within their own selves. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to do what is right. And the responsibilities is everyone is responsible. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. Every one of you is راع, is a shepherd, and everyone will be asked about their dependencies. So if you are responsible for something, in principle, if you have a choice, we should not seek responsibilities. It should be given to those who fit. And if someone is given a responsibility, then they should seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, while deep in their hearts, it's not something that they seek, but it's a responsibility. Someone has to take it, someone has to bear it, and someone has to fulfill it. And if they have this attitude in their hearts, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help them. Versus those who go after it, they won't be helped. They will be left to their own selves. And everything is an amana, is a trust. إِنَّ عَرَضْنَا الْأَمَانَةَ عَلَى السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالْجِبَالِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala presented al-amana, the trust, to the heavens and the earth and the mountains, and they refused to bear it. وَحَمَلَهَا الْإِنسَانُ إِنَّهُ كَانَ ظَلُومًا جَهُولًا. And the human beings, they are the ones that bore this amana. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warned us in the Quran in more than one verse, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تَخُونُوا اللَّهَ وَالرَّسُولَ وَتَخُونُوا أَمَانَتِكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. You who believe, do not betray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger. And وَتَخُونُوا أَمَانَتِكُمْ, repeating al-khiyana again, which is already included in what we heard, but forbidding the believers from betraying their amana, their trust, while they are knowing of what they're doing. وَلَا تُسْأَلُونَ عَمَّا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. Everybody will be asked about what they used to do. So to be in charge of a place, there is a responsibility that comes as a result of that. And the responsibility, the most important responsibility, that the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are fulfilled. الَّذِينَ إِن مَّكَّنَّاهُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ أَقَامُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتَوُا الزَّكَاةَ وَأَمَرُوا بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَنَهَوْا عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ. Those, when we establish them on the face of earth, they would establish the salah, and they would forbid the evil and enjoin what is good. And this is to the best of their ability. So anything or any sins that are committed in a place where a person is responsible for that place, if these sins are committed and he's knowingly, or he knows that these sins are committed, and he's making it easy for people to commit sins, and he knows and he has the means to prevent it, and he doesn't prevent it, then he is not just sharing in the sin, but he is responsible for every sin that is committed every time a person commits a sin. So if there's mixed gatherings, for example, in the masjid, which is not permissible between men and women, so the men are looking at women, women are looking at men, and things like this, or even things can get worse and worse. Those who are in charge, those who are committing these sins, are responsible for their actions, and those who are in charge of the place where they facilitate these types of things and organize these things, they are also subjected to the sin of every person. Everyone commits a sin, they get also a share of this. So why would a person wants to be in such a position where he incur upon himself the sins of others? And plus, Allah knows best what's going to happen to the generations to come. This is a huge evil that people are not aware of. What you do now of a small deviation, you think it's okay, or it's to attract people, not to push people away, or when there's lack of knowledge and people think that it's not my responsibility, what can I do? This is how the life of the people outside of the masjid, this is how their work environment, this is how they are in home, so why the masjid should be any different? You are in charge of it. You are in charge of that place to fulfill the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And a small deviation, which is very obvious also in the physical life that we live in, if you deviate from the straight path the smallest deviation. What happens after a distance, the deviation becomes very wide, very big, in which it started with something small. So the same thing with innovations in the deen, with sinful action, especially with establishments like this. It starts with something small, but then you don't know how it's going to end, and you are responsible for it because you're the one that initiated it. You're the one that helped it. So what's going to happen to the generation to come? It was a simple gathering with people wearing hijab, for example, which is not permissible. Then it end up being gatherings where people are not wearing hijab, or people then they can do even more and more evil relationships. They establish relationships, and I've witnessed in my life relationships, sinful relationships initiated in the masajid. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us and guide us, and to make us all follow the deen of Allah. And the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam had a masjid. And the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, the Khulafa al-Rashidin, how was their masajid? And don't take an excuse that we are in the West or the masjid is this and that. They had a masjid. Where was the position of women versus men? And how they were, when it comes to the dress code, and how that they interact with each other, and what the Prophet ﷺ said, and things like this. So this is one of many other things. And I hope, of course, the question is not pointing fingers at a certain group of people or a certain, masjid. This is not our purpose, of course. We have to have the nasiha. We have the concern towards every Muslim and to everyone, that we want to save ourselves and others from the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to be gentle, and to remind people, and to remind one another with goodness, and things like this. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all from the evil within our own selves. And if it comes to, is it better than to stay and to help guide the rest, or it's better to step out if it's a responsibility like this, even if the board is mixed itself? This is an issue always with the responsibility. If a person is able to change something to be of goodness, and he has the means to do that, then this is a good thing. Or to make the evil less, then it's good. And each case is different, and each person is different. So there's no general answer to this. Some individuals, they can be effective, and some people, they're not effective. And if a person finds himself that there's no effect that he would get, or making the evil less, and even sometimes a person might be in a position like this, thinking that he's trying to make the evil less, but he's basically approving it by people watching and seeing that he is part of that board. So that means he's approving all the evil that is there. So if it depends, and it's all mixture of some variables, if a person the evil is becoming less and less because of his presence, this is a good thing. And if he finds that this is not happening, then definitely he should stay away from such a thing, to save himself from these types of evil actions. Wallahu a'lam.